Hello everyone, welcome to this class in which we will address some disorders that are present in the alternative model for personality disorders in the DSM-5. In order to be able to review them all in this 15-minute class, you must have read and be familiar with some of the terms like what is criterion A and B in this new model, and what are traits and what are they composed of, the facets and the domains. So I will just describe which of all of these things are present in each disorder. So what are we going to do? We're going to see criterion A and B of all these disorders, and finally the trait-specified personality disorder. So let's go with antisocial personality disorder. I'm going to skip this part, which is this is the definition that is usually present in the regular description of the disorders, and I will go directly here. Remember, criterion A is about identifying how the person relates with his own or her own self and others, interpersonal. So the first two, identity and self-direction, have to do with how is the self structured. And what it says here is that we have to have two or more of the following four areas marked as moderate or greater impairment, remember, in the scale that the DSM-5 proposes. So what this means is that the antisocial personality person or disorder has its own identity. That means who the person is, and the self-esteem derived from personal gain, power, or pleasure. So, for example, a person here is not going to say, I am a good, who are you? I am Jose and I'm a good father. He will never say that. He would say, who are you? I am Jose, and I am the boss, no? I am the director of whatever. So this means that their self-esteem, their self-worth is based on this power among other people. And the second option is the self-direction. That means how are their goals motivated? I mean, this means is how have they built their purposes in life, and what is the main motivation? So here, goal setting is based on personal gratification. So these people will not say, I want to form a family, I want to have a better country, I want to, no. It is about me and gaining this gratification in any way, and the absence of pro-social internal standards. So that means that they will trespass the law, because the law is about others. And if that is contrary to my own goals, well, I simply don't care. And then 3 and 4 have to do with how they relate with others. Okay, so empathy is a way in which we relate with others, and is important in order to have a good or healthy relationship. And here, simply, if everything is set on me and the goals are set on me and my own personal gain, then I have a lack of concerns for feeling needs or suffering of others, and most importantly, lack of remorse after hurting somebody. I simply don't care because it's only about me. Okay, and this brings this incapacity for mutually intimate relationships, because in a beautiful world, an intimate relationship has to do with the same exact worth for two people. In order to have a good intimacy. So that's why this would be an incapacity. And primarily because exploitation is a primary means for relating with others. And that brings a lot of pleasure. So, and then we go to the criterion B, which is about traits, as you must remember in the reading. So here we need 6 or more of these pathological personality traits, and that is manipulativeness, which is the way in which I interact. Remember, traits are the way in which the tendency to perceive, feel, think, and behave all the time. So when they open their eyes in the morning, the first thing that they do, whatever they do, and it comes naturally from within, they will act this way. So they will try to influence or to gain control over others. They will lack of guilt or remorse about people. And here we have the callousness would be the trait, the specific trait, personality trait, and antagonism would be the domain in which this trait is. Remember that is also part of the reading of the alternative model. So deceitfulness, dishonesty, fraudulence, hostility, irritability in response to minor slights and insults. So they will react very, very, very rapidly. Risk-taking without regard of consequences, and boredom proneness. That means that they will act very fast in order not to be, they need gratification. So if they're not getting gratification, they will get bored. So they will act and maybe look for risky activities in order to fight this boredom. Impulsivity, that means they will react in response to immediate stimuli. They will not wait and evaluate. They will just act. Okay? And irresponsibility. So as you can see, you need 6 of 7. So all of those traits are very related to the antisocial personality disorder. Finally, here I just wanted to highlight that the term psychopathy is usually very similar to the antisocial personality disorder, but here they say that has to do with the lack of anxiety or fear that these people show. So let's go with the next one, borderline personality disorder. And again, we need 2 or more of the following. So who are they? What is their identity? Well, their self, their ego is impoverished, is poorly developed, and it's unstable. So that means that today I feel great because the sun is shining and everything is perfect, but tomorrow I will feel terrible, or I will feel sad, and that has to do with a self that is not very well integrated, and that gives them an unstable self-image, that in which there's a chronic feelings of emptiness. Emptiness is or abandonment is the core of this self. They feel empty. It's like if nobody was there for them inside. I mean, it's like when I speak, I know that I am who I am, and I know that I can represent myself, but they can't. It's usually the way that they show their identity. And in that way, their goals are unstable, because one day they may be feeling well, and when they set their goals, they are worried or preoccupied because they don't know if they will be able to achieve them. Now, how do they relate with others? How do they relate with empathy? They are compromised to recognize the feelings and needs of others because they are very hypersensitive to whatever the other is trying to say. So if somebody is telling me, you know what, you should dress differently because I think that whatever, I would react very, very bad because I would take it completely as an attack to myself. So they cannot be empathetic with what the other ones are saying. And then finally, intimacy, which means how do they relate in a close relationship? Well, because of this same impoverished self, they will have intense, unstable, and conflicted close relationships with others, because they will not be able to have a stable image about themselves and a stable image about themselves with others. And this has to do with the idea that the other is going to abandon them. And also this brings them into a mix between idealization, in which one day the person is perfect, the other person is perfect, and devaluation. Tomorrow you are the worst insignificant human being in the world. Now, what about the traits, the pathological traits, which is criterion B? We only need 4 of these traits. But one of them must be impulsivity, risk-taking, or hostility. So you should notice that these are usually present. You can have those 3 and then another one. So I'm going to go faster. So emotional lability, which means that frequent mood changes because of this unstable self. Anxiousness, this instability makes them feel very anxious about how they're going to react to the things that are going to happen, or to life, because life is difficult. So if you don't have anyone to respond inside of you, then you will feel anxious. Separation insecurity, that means again this idea of abandonment. And remember, these are the ways they feel, perceive, think, and behave. So everything they feel, perceive, think, and behave has to do with this lens. So if you go to a movie and somebody else is laughing, you're going to think that they are going to abandon you, for example. No? Depressivity. Again, this unstable image makes them feel miserable or hopeless. Impulsivity, acting on the spur of the moment in response to immediate stimuli. Again, this is shared, as you see, with the antisocial. The same as risk-taking, so I'm not going to repeat it, and the same as hostility. So persistent, frequent, angry feelings. So it's not only that I react, but it makes me very angry, because anger is a mechanism that nature gave us in order to defend ourselves. So when we feel unstable, we feel weak, we feel impoverished and in danger, anger is a very good way to respond in order to defend ourselves. So this would be a trait in them. Now let's go with the narcissistic personality disorder, in which, again, two or more. Who are they? Who are they? Well, they are whatever the others reference for them. Okay, so whatever the others say that about me, that is how my self-esteem is going to be built up. So then my goals, my purpose in life has to do with gaining approval from others. So I will put in a place, and everything has to do with getting this gratification from the others. And this makes me be unaware of my own motivations. Empathy, how do they relate to another person? They will only be empathetic with someone if that someone is actually saying how great they are. Okay, so that's the only way in which they will feel this empathy with other. If the other is not saying how great they are, there will not be an empathetic position. And finally, the relationships are largely superficial, because they only serve to bring up their own self-esteem. So I will only be intimate with you if you make me feel adored or admired, right? Then, for traits, we need both traits. Grandiosity, which is feelings of entitlement and feelings that you are better than others. And attention seeking, that is focus of the attention of others. So when they wake up in the morning, this is what they feel, think, perceive, and do, no? And behave. So let's go. I only have 2 minutes to say this. For all of the possibilities that there could be in the world, we have the personality disorder trait specified. That means when you have mixed characteristics and you don't finally get to have a formal description that would be described as antisocial, narcissistic, or anything, and you have shared mixed traits, we can have a diagnosis for personality disorder trait specified. So you would have to have 2 or more of the following 4 areas, as with a moderate or greater impairment here. And this is the same, and for this you would have to look at the descriptions. And then finally, look at this: 1 or more pathological personality trait. So only having 1 or more pathological personality trait could be, and obviously having the A criterion, could be enough in order to have the personality disorder trait specified. Now I want to go here. Well, and here we have the domains or facets, okay? Negative affectivity versus emotional stability. And again, this is something that you must have read in the trait chapter. But here what I want to highlight is this arrangement allows clinicians to tailor the description of each individual's personality disorder profile, considering all 5 broad domains of personality trait variation. So this helps us to build their own categorization of the personal and the individual. This is all. Thank you very much.